But ultimately, when you talk about building a foundation for an organization, talk about infrastructure, but now the talent pool too, and diversify the group that, we just brought in this trade, we do feel like we've accelerated some things and really excited about the future.
That is Chris Getz talking about the big trade that the White Sox made here at the very end of the winter meetings. Garrett Crochet to the Red Sox, a big prospect return coming back for the White Sox. Hey everybody, it's Chuck Garfien. This is the White Sox podcast, and coming up, Chris Getz takes us inside the trade, how it all came about, who the White Sox got in return, and more. It's an interview with White Sox GM Chris Getz moments after he made the trade. That is coming up next. Okay, before my interview with Chris Getz, I want to share a few things about the trade. First off, on Monday's podcast, we had John Morosi of MLB Network on the pod, and he said the team to look out for, props to you, John Morosi, was the Red Sox, and he even brought up Kyle Teel as a possible trade piece in return for Garrett Crochet. So John Morosi was right on that one. And I did ask a scout, a minor league scout, what he thought of the deal for the White Sox, and I'll share with all of you what he said. He goes, "I like it." He goes, "Both Teel and Montgomery are high-end talents and premium makeup guys, super competitive winners." He said, "I thought Montgomery was the best college bat this year besides Travis Bazzana." Bazzana was taken first overall by the Guardians in the draft. And he added, "I would have taken him over Charlie Condon before Montgomery got hurt." Montgomery did hurt his ankle, so after he was drafted by the Red Sox, he did not play in the summer, but he is expected to be ready for spring training. The scout added, "Teel is super athletic, and his bat has continued to accelerate as a pro. Obviously, these guys are really talented, but they're also high-character, competitive guys who want to win." You want to hear that. All right, here's my interview with Chris Getz here at the winter meetings. Chris Getz, big trade here at the end of the winter meetings. Just first off, how did it come together?
Well, we've had conversations now for last couple months. The Red Sox, they had a very strong system. And fortunate for them, it remains strong, and that just speaks to the talent that they have. But talking to Craig Breslow, it was very clear that he was motivated, and that Garrett Crochet was a top target. We had some conversations at the trade deadline, so we were able to get a look at their prospects then, track those players for the remaining part of the season, and it allowed us to be a little, much more confident in making a decision while we were here at the winter meetings. But, Brez he was looking for a frontline starter, and he found one in Garrett Crochet, but we couldn't be more excited about the talent that we just injected into our system. You look at Kyle Teel, a catcher, left-handed hitting catcher that played at AAA this year. You look at Braden Montgomery, who was just picked in the first round. Both of those players were first-rounders in the last 2 years, so we did a lot of homework. We got to know those players and their character, so that gave us even more confidence in pulling the trigger here. And then you've got Chase Meidroth that had pretty much a full season at AAA, has been a minor league performer. He can play, all infield positions, controls the zone. He's got contact ability. So we feel like we've got a really well-rounded player that is not too far from the major league level. And Wikelman Gonzalez is a guy that we've talked about for years. He's got big stuff. He's got a chance to be a starter, but he's got the stuff that can be a reliever as well. So to bring him into the deal, as well is something that we're excited about. But ultimately, when you talk about building a foundation for an organization, talk about infrastructure, but now the talent pool too, and diversify the group that, we just brought in this trade, we do feel like we've accelerated some things and really excited about the future.
Yeah, losing Crochet, big loss, but how much better is your organization today versus yesterday?
We feel we're in a much better place. It's not easy to move on from a pitcher like that, but in all reality, you've got to look at where the current health of the organization is, and to be able to bring in that much talent for the future, makes us feel really good, and like I said, accelerates us for closer success at the major league level, which is the ultimate goal. But yeah, Garrett's a guy that we drafted, and he had this fantastic year this past season. So I'm happy for Garrett, and expect him to continue to pitch well at the starting role.
You're trying to look down the road of trading Crochet around the deadline. Was this deal better than what you were getting or talking about at the deadline last year? Yeah,
this is above what we had discussed at the deadline with clubs, and so that was a measuring point for us. We did come pretty close on making a deal at the deadline, but the biggest benefit is we were able to do a deeper dive on some of these players and see how they finish their years and learn more about them, not only on the field but off the field. And we're talking about high talent but also really high character, guys that can help lead a clubhouse, and that's really important as we take a step towards being a competitive major league club. And they've got that leadership ability, on-field ability, so it was very obvious this was the right deal for the White Sox.
So Teel's a catcher, you got Edgar Caro, catcher. These are two guys in the top 60 in all of baseball in terms of prospects. How do you see those two working in tandem?
Well, you've got Edgar that has a similar amount of time at AAA. He swings. Right now he currently is stronger from the right side. Kyle Teel's obviously a left-handed hitter. Kyle's got a history of playing in the outfield. Some of our scouts believe that he could play the infield as well, but we see him as a long-term catcher. But there's versatility in his back pocket, and we've got a switch hitter in Edgar Caro. To have upper-level catching like that is gold in our industry, and I certainly felt that this offseason with some of the discussions on catchers, and to be able to add Kyle Teel to the group with Edgar Caro and Corey Lee and his development, we feel really good about such a vital position.
Yeah, you look at Chase, who in AAA had an OBP of like 450, 460. Can you speak to his plate discipline, and do you feel like that's translating to the majors?
We believe it will. Yeah, we do. He's got just a long track record of understanding the strike zone, and that comes with contact ability. That comes with some power. So usually when you've got the attributes like that, the on base can hold at the major league level, and then on top of all of that, there's versatility in his game. He can play all the infield positions, so he's going to get his opportunity. We look forward to seeing him in spring training, and he'll get a chance to break with the team.
Do you feel like you mentioned the word acceleration? I mean, how much do you think this sped up this rebuild to make this team better sooner?
Well, I look where we were at yesterday to where we are today, and injecting that type of talent, it was just so important for this organization moving forward. And it just so happens that they're upper-level players, the majority of them, and Braden Montgomery is an advanced college player. He had the ankle injury that didn't allow him to play his first professional season yet, but he'll get a chance this upcoming year. But we're talking about players at AA and above for the rest of them, and Braden being an advanced college bat. So, we feel like we're a step closer.
Teel was taken right before Wikelman Gonzalez. Were you guys considering drafting Teel if he was going to be there?
We considered it.
Yeah.
We did a lot of work on Kyle Teel, as well. He was definitely a target. Obviously, he goes to the pick before us, and then you watch how that unfolds. But the familiarity with Teel and Montgomery allowed us to get a little bit more comfortable, just because we've done a lot of work on those guys because they were first rounders in the last two drafts.
You mentioned makeup. That seems to be a common theme. You guys are really looking at makeup. Can you explain why these guys fit that criteria for you?
Well, we've sat down and spent a lot of time with these guys prior to the draft, and so you see their communication style, what matters to them. You learn about their support system, and then you in Kyle's case, he got a full season under his belt, so you're able to see how his skill set and mindset translate at the major league or at the the minor league level as he endured his first full season. So character matters in this game. Makeup matters. Ultimately, the baseball part is the most important, but to be able to combo leadership ability with baseball skills is something that we try to target, and we were able to do that in this deal.
All right, just two more questions. One is, were things quiet with activity with Crochet, and then all of a sudden things picked up with the Fried signing? How did the week progress for you in terms of you trading Crochet?
There was an ebb and flow to it. It's always tough to tell, this move's going to dictate this. We were ready. There were a lot of ongoing conversations, and, some organizations were on some players, some were on others, some were perhaps not as active. But it certainly picked up last night. You felt it. And ultimately, we're able to get to the finish line today.
All right, and there's one other player out there, Luis Robert Jr. Could you describe the interest in him this offseason?
It's really picked up while we've been here, and that's a testament to his skill set and what he's capable of doing. A year ago at this time, we were talking about one of the best, if not the best, center fielders in terms of all-around talent. He had some injuries last year that he missed some time, and he was trying to make up for lost time when he came back. So we didn't see the offensive ability that he's capable of accomplishing. But you're looking at a guy that does what he does on the defensive front, base running. He's got power. We're focused on him having a healthy spring training and a smooth runway to the season. Teams certainly recognize the talent.
All right, so thank you very much, Chris Getz, for the information and for the interview. And to kind of put all this in perspective, with this trade, the White Sox now have 4 of the top 40 prospects in all of baseball, 6 of the top 60 when you consider it's Noah Schultz, Hagen Smith, Colson Montgomery, Kyle Teel, Braden Montgomery, and Edgar Caro. And some of these guys are really, actually most of them, arguably all of them are knocking on the door for the major leagues. So that is very promising. And the elephant in the room is, 8 years ago, almost to the day, the White Sox traded Chris Sale to the Red Sox for the return that was Yoel Moncada and Michael Kopech and Luis Basabe. At the time, Yoel Moncada was the #1 overall prospect in all of baseball. And we all have experienced what that means or frankly doesn't mean. They are prospects. You don't know exactly what kind of major league career they're going to have, but the overall feeling here at the winter meetings and people that I've talked to is that this was a good trade for the White Sox, arguably a very good trade. Did they win the trade? We don't know. But I will also add that Garrett Crochet, losing him, big loss for the White Sox, right? And I brought up to Chris Getz and company, like, what about extending him, keeping him here, having him be a part of the future? But when you look at where the White Sox are right now, if you extended Garrett Crochet, is that good value considering that the White Sox probably aren't going to be good for the next 2 years, and you spent all this money on Garrett Crochet, especially when you see all the bats that they need for this team to be competitive in the future? You throw all that together, and even though you don't want to see Garrett Crochet walk out the door with 2 years left on his contract, it's the smart move that the White Sox wanted to make, needed to make, and they made here at the winter meetings. Wrapping things up here at what's the name of this hotel? It's a Hilton. The Hilton something, Anatole. Here in Dallas. It began, what a week for the White Sox. It began with Dick Allen going into the Hall of Fame. He'll be inducted this summer, this July, in Cooperstown. And from what they're telling me, he's going to go in as a White Sox. Nothing official yet, but that's what the Allen camp is telling me right now. And then they added Mike Tauchman, the outfielder who played for the Cubs the last couple of years. He is a Palatine native. And now it all ends with Garrett Crochet traded to the Red Sox. I'm going to have much more on this return that the White Sox are getting on a podcast next week. Thank you, everybody, for watching, for listening. And big thanks to Jeff Corbett, our photographer here in Dallas, Edgar Perez back in Chicago, editing all these interviews and podcasts for all of you. And always a big thank you to the one and only Hawk Harrelson for wrapping up every single podcast. Hawk, take it away.
All right, Chuck, this edition of the White Sox podcast is over.